Hi everyone, my name is Pat Connell, and today I'm going to be going over with you what a sharing economy is. I'm going to start with exactly what it is, and then go into some of the drivers of the marketplace and different companies that operate in this marketplace. And I'm also going to gauge the level of sustainability of the economy itself. So, now the sharing economy is a communication between two people where one person has an underutilized asset and another person has a need for that asset. And the two collaborate to find an agreed upon price and essentially share that asset. Now, this idea of sharing has been around for a number of years. If you think eBay or Craigslist, people have been selling their junk for a number of years, and people value that junk. So what this is, it's similar to that, only on a much larger scale. And this much larger scale is dependent upon the internet, social media, and different applications that increase the functionality and visibility of communication between users to identify an underutilized asset and people that value that underutilized asset. The financial crisis of 2008 essentially created an incubator for the sharing economy. People lost their jobs and weren't able to pay for commercial goods and services that they once had been able to pay for before they lost their job. So it kind of forced people to take a step back and look at what was being wasted in their everyday lives, whether that was a car that wasn't being used or a room that their kids had moved out of. It was seen as a way to make money, and since then the market has enjoyed considerable growth, and users really haven't looked back since then. Now, just to take a look at a few companies that operate in this marketplace, now we all know Uber and Lyft and Airbnb, but these are a few that I was unaware of, so hopefully they were unfamiliar to you before you watch this presentation. But Dog Vacay is a service that allows pet owners to leave their dog with fellow pet owners that can give them a nurturing environment. So if you value that kind of thing, that would be perfect. Or TaskRabbit and Zarly, it's a marketplace where people can find other people to do oddball tasks, clean their kitchen, clean their gutters, paint, that sort of thing. Lending Club, this was one of the more interesting ones that I found, and I'll go in depth in the next slide. Fawn is, in my opinion, the purest form of a sharing economy. What Fawn is users share a portion of their Wi-Fi, and in turn, Fawn gives that person access to other Fawn users' Wi-Fi around the world. So it is a truly sharing environment. Lending Club is a peer-to-peer lending service where a potential borrower applies to Lending Club for a personal loan up to $35,000. Now, the acceptance rate of these loans is 10%, so it adds a level of assurance to investors that the chances of the borrower defaulting are relatively low. Additionally, investors can pick and choose which loans they want to invest in, so they can diversify their portfolio quite easily, investing as much or as little as they want. Now, borrowers, they make their monthly interest payments to the investors, directly to the investors, and the amount depends obviously on the amount that the investor has invested in that loan, as well as the agreed upon interest rate. Now, Lending Club, they take 1% as a processing fee off of each interest payment from the borrower to the investor. Now, the success of a sharing economy is contingent upon, in my opinion, trust. Trust is at the core for the sharing economy. Um, Additionally, there is also going to have to be a cultural shift from the reliance on commercial goods and services to the reliance on other people. So peer-to-peer communications, that again, which goes back to the level of trust that will need to be established between people. Also, the different connections that people make and the relationships that they develop with other people really do drive the market and how they communicate and get connected, whether that's through social media, different applications, or simply user accounts on the internet. They are all drivers of the market. Now, the sharing economy is essentially self-regulated. Companies that are peer-to-peer, they don't have to operate under certain federal, state, or local regulations, which allows them to keep their prices down. But something that puts consumers at risk and doesn't protect them are certain situations, like, for example, an Uber driver who operates his car commercially under his own personal automobile insurance. If he gets in an accident while he's driving customers around, any property damage that arises won't be covered by his personal automobile insurance because he's operating commercially. So obviously he would have to foot the bill, and that really creates a great risk for a driver. Additionally, there's a vested interest from brick and mortar companies in the success of these internet-based companies. They're recognizing how efficient they are, how low their prices are, and how they're really taking business away from them. And it creates intense competition among taxi companies and hotels because the peer-to-peer companies are taking their customers away from them. And I mean, you hear stories about taxi drivers creating fake accounts just to keep Uber drivers busy so that they can get some of their customers back, which is something that is going to have to be addressed down the road. After researching the sharing economy, I think it's extremely sustainable and it's here to stay for a number of years. The reason I feel this way is because consumers throughout the peer-to-peer chain essentially create value for one another and enhance purchasing power. As long as people identify waste and increase the visibility upon the communication channels to enhance trust, it will continue to be sustainable and give brick and mortar companies a headache down the road. That's the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions for me or comments, please leave them below. I would really appreciate some feedback. Thank you.